I'm bored, and in today's video, I want to talk about MAGA brain rot. More specifically, the fact they're celebrating that Paramount has won out the bid for Warner Brothers Discovery. They're all excited about that Paramount won and that Netflix lost, but they also want to pretend that they don't believe that buyout has anything to do with MAGA ideology. I know it's just as confusing for you guys as it is for me. Let's look at one particular post by our friend Jesterbell. So before we read what Jesterbell said here, I want to take a look at what she is sharing. So she's got 4 pictures here from Twitter of people reacting to the news that Paramount has won the bid over Netflix. Netflix backed down, and Paramount is the de facto front of the line for the buyout of Warner Brothers Discovery. A redacted spider here says, this means nothing coming from him. David Ellison already said they will push a MAGA agenda in their movies. Paramount will tamper with the DCU's vision, trust me. It's one take. Here's another one. You truly can't comprehend the people that are upset because conservatism, Zionism, fascism are going to define each and every single piece of pop culture. You're truly so dull that you can't comprehend that it's not about cape shit. Maybe for once, stay it with me. It's not about you and your identity being defined by subcategorical collective laughter victim complex. Gun Gooners Big Mad. That was what this person was responding to. Paramount is now set to win the bidding war. Unfortunately, art is political, and we'll see a lot of right-wing propaganda from now on. And the last one she shared here is a sequence like this would never be allowed or made under Paramount. Now, here's what Jesterbell had to say. I'm sorry, please cite your source where David Ellison said he would push a MAGA agenda. See, this is the game they play. It's a semantics game. They want something to be a smoking gun. They want it specifically to say something because they're incapable of reading into context, or they're pretending that they're incapable of reading into context. It's one or the other, and I'm going to show you guys a ton of context here in a moment. The truth, he said he wants to make movies make more male-skewing action films and comedies, which I guess is a conservative thing now. It's not just a conservative thing, but it's definitely the agenda and the ideology that MAGA conservatives push. And you're missing that nuance and context there on purpose. You're missing it on purpose. Seriously, there's been meltdowns all over my timeline at the same company that produced Starfleet Academy as a propaganda arm for the right. Well, the fact is, you guys want to pretend like that Starfleet Academy is woke slop, but then you're also celebrating the fact that Paramount bought out Warner Brothers Discovery. So make it make sense. Do you guys not believe that? If you don't believe that, then why are you celebrating? I'm just saying, why are you celebrating if you don't believe that Paramount is going to come in and get rid of the DEI and woke, then why do you care that they won over Netflix? Make it make sense. Won't allow films to be made by with women and black people now they bought Warner Brothers. It's embarrassing. So what I wanted to do today is I wanted to go through without this quote. I'm not even going to use the quote that she's showing, the one about him saying he wants to push more male skewing action and comedies, because I think that's a lightweight quote. I think that's lightweight compared to the mountains of evidence that him and his father and everybody associated with him are deeply aligned with the Trump administration. Let's start here. Trump says he received $16 million in payments after Paramount lawsuit settlement. Why was that? This month, Paramount agreed to settle. This was back in July. This month, Paramount agreed to settle a lawsuit filed by Trump claiming that CBS News program 60 Minutes deceptively edited an interview with former Vice President Kamala Harris and the network broadcast in October, which, by the way, they didn't. They released the whole thing. It wasn't deceptively edited, but they did it anyway. Paramount needs approval from the FCC for its $8.4 billion merger with Skydance Media. The FCC did not make a decision by the 180-day informal deadline in mid-May, and FCC chair denied Trump's lawsuit was a factor. However, Trump posted this. We've just received a big and important win in our historic lawsuit against 60 Minutes, CBS, and Paramount. Paramount, CBS, 60 Minutes have paid today $16 million in a settlement, and we also anticipate receiving $20 million more from the new owners, Trump said in a post on Truth Social. And then magically, we had some changes. Incoming CBS owners promises Trump's FCC it will review complaints of bias at News Network and eliminate DEI policies. Oh gosh, what a coincidence. What a coincidence in timing. Following President Donald Trump's executive orders earlier this year, which by the way, executive orders are not laws. They can be challenged and they're not done by Congress. But anyway, we'll continue. Following President Donald Trump's executive orders earlier this year calling for the eradication of diversity and equity policies, Carr, the FCC head, launched investigations into media conglomerates Disney, which owns ABC News and Comcast, and parent company of NBC, and other DEI hiring and editorial initiatives. Interesting that CBS wasn't in this. ABC, Comcast, NBC, but no Paramount and no CBS. Okay. Trump's handpicked FCC chief, meanwhile, has also said that his agency would block any media mergers and acquisitions if the companies involved had diversity policies in place. Here it says, any business that's looking for FCC approval, I would encourage them to get busy ending any sort of invidious forms of DEI discrimination. If there's businesses out there that are still promoting invidious forms of DEI discrimination, I really don't see a path forward where the FCC would reach the conclusion that approving the transaction is going to be in the public interest. Also, they're bullying people. That's what this is. It's bullying companies to do what the government wants them to do in order to get things approved in the government. I wonder if that's what Paramount did here, if they just completely gave up their agency and did that so they could get that approval from President Trump and his administration. Spoiler alert, they did. The meeting between Ellison and Carr took place days before Paramount and CBS announced they had canceled outspoken Trump critic Stephen Colbert's late-night talk show, leading to further speculation that the demise of The Late Show was not a purely financial decision and may have been politically motivated. You don't say, that's just a coincidence too. All of this is so coincidental. And then we have Bari Weiss coming in and chopping up the newsroom and doing a bunch of stuff that really just sort of caused a bunch of people to quit because she's incapable of actually doing the job, and she's strictly there to push an agenda for people on the right. Interesting that they would put someone so vastly unqualified in charge of such a prestigious news department. That doesn't reek of anything, does it? No, that's just normal, business as usual. This is what they all do when they take over companies, right? Then we had the 60 Minutes debacle with CCOT. CBS airs 60-minute report on Trump deportations that was suddenly pulled a month ago. Now, this was really interesting. If you guys don't remember, it's a lot to read here, but let's go ahead and talk about this very briefly because I remember covering this when it happened. There was a news report on CCOT that was supposed to air on 60 Minutes. They went through the trouble of promoting it very heavily all the way up until the day it was supposed to come out. And then hours before it was supposed to come out, they just pulled it and tried to pretend there was some sort of issue with not getting all of the information, even though it had gone through multiple vetting processes from all the people that work at 60 Minutes that have been doing it for years. But Bari Weiss said, maybe we should talk to Stephen Miller and get more of these people involved with it. It's an editorial piece on a concentration camp. We all saw it. It got put out in Canada because they had access to it. So everybody got to see it anyway. So them trying to censor and protect Trump didn't work. Protect the Trump administration, it didn't work. They tried, it didn't work. And so they had to eventually air it anyway because they got called out on their bullshit. And there we go. Now, they did air the 60-minute segment, but let's talk about some of the other bullshit they do here. So they pushed a South African white genocide conspiracy theory that has been debunked time after time after time. And they wanted to do this because they are in alignment with Trump and Trump's administration. President Trump said that white farmers in South Africa are victims of genocide, 60 Minutes wrote in a promotional copy ahead of the release. The South African government disputes the claim. 60 Minutes traveled to South Africa to see for ourselves. The segment was delayed after Weiss left veteran 60 Minutes producer Michael Gavshin exasperated with her extensive editorial feedback on the episode, meaning that she kept coming in and purposely manipulating an episode specifically about Donald Trump's claims about white genocide in South Africa. And here we are seeing 60 Minutes push this brain rot conspiracy theory. Also, looking at the plane here, I realized that he got a gift from the government who is funding some of the money that's being put up by Paramount to get Warner Brothers. So that is also an issue with the Saudi government, Qatar, the UAE, all of that being in on this deal by Warner Brothers with Paramount and the Ellisons. It's just so much corruption, but it doesn't end there. Let's take a look over here at this particular story. Departing CBS News producer claims political bias as Paramount poised to buy Warner Brothers. Mary Walsh leaving after 46 years. Says staffers told to aim our reporting at a particular part of the political spectrum. I wonder what that political spectrum was. I wonder what part of that political spectrum they were told to report on. And then the Oracle billionaire Larry Ellison is holding a fundraiser for Donald Trump where supporters can pay $100,000 for a golf outing and a photo op with the president. And some Oracle employees are livid. But it doesn't stop there. Oracle's Larry Ellison joined November 2020 call about contesting Trump's loss. So he is an election denier as well. No bias whatsoever with this company. No bias. Like, we're all absolutely crazy for thinking that there could be something going on behind the scenes over at Paramount and Skydance when David Ellison and his father, Larry Ellison, just gobble up and own so many different media outlets while they also are denying election results. They're also connected to giving money to Trump, raising money for Trump. All of these things that are going on, but I guess we're just imagining. But this isn't the end. Let's continue. Billionaire Larry Ellison and his son David built a new media empire. This billionaire Trump ally and his son are building an unprecedented media empire. What about TikTok? That's also under the umbrella of all of this. Like, literally, it's right here in front of our faces. So when you come over here and you're like, oh, I can't believe, what do you mean MAGA talking points? What do you mean Trump supporters? What do you mean by that? And the hits keep coming. Trump makes unconfirmed claims Skydance will give him $20 million in advertising, PSAs, or similar programming after Paramount merger goes through. We talked about this a few moments ago. Trump kept saying it. He made posts about it, and he said it in multiple interviews where he thought that he was going to be getting $20 million in advertising, PSAs, and programming from this merger. Why would Trump think that? Why would he believe that if he did not feel like he was close and connected to both Larry and David Ellison? Why would he believe this? And why would they not come out and disavow it and say, no, we didn't promise him anything. We're not going to give him anything. Why would he say this? And then these heads of this company just go, we're going to ignore it. I wonder, do they like Trump? Are they MAGA? Are they Trump allies? I wonder. Based on this, seems pretty obvious to me, but let's continue. The hits keep coming, and we're not even done yet. Senate Democrats demand answers from David Ellison about Paramount Skydance dealings with Trump in Warner Brothers takeover bid, accused CEO of pattern of evasion. And we're going to see in a moment more evasion from the CEO. I promise you, there's an update. There's a very recent update on that. It says here, last summer, Trump claimed he had a side deal with Skydance under which the new owners of the merged Paramount Skydance would contribute $20 million in advertising. We just talked about this. Public service announcements and similar programming that promote causes he favors. That would be in addition to the Paramount Global $16 million payment to settle Trump's lawsuit accusing 60 Minutes of deceptively editing a pre-election interview with Kamala Harris. Ellison has declined to confirm or deny such a side deal exists. So why would he not deny it? Why would he not deny it? I'm not saying that it's necessarily true, because the thing is, when it comes to slimy stuff like this, there's not always going to be paperwork. There's not always going to be some smoking gun. These are very rich people, the Epstein class, this level of wealth that is far beyond anything we can comprehend, where they make deals on phone calls. They make promises behind closed doors. They do these things. They do it in a way so that the paper trail is very thin. If Trump said it and then Ellison didn't deny it, then that would mean that the deal does exist unless otherwise stated, in which he has not disavowed the deal. Here we go. David Ellison promised White House sweeping changes at CNN. This is from The Wrap. The Paramount CEO is trying to appease Donald Trump as he vies for Warner Brothers Discovery. This was taken from the Wall Street Journal. Paramount CEO David Ellison desperately wants all of Warner Brothers Discovery, and he's reportedly willing to upend CNN, their news division, if it means securing the Trump administration's approval. Ellison told multiple Trump administration officials that he would demand change to CNN if he acquired WBD's assets, according to a Wall Street Journal report. And we're still not done. Hollywood may be weary of the Ellison family. The WGA called the prospect of Paramount buying Warner Brothers Discovery a disaster for writers, for consumers, and for competition, and vowed to work with regulators to block the merger, but an industry still reeling from the collapse of peak TV has been re-energized by the emergence of a new deep-pocket buyer, and analysis credit Ellison for embracing the new expansive vision. Taking a page from the MAGA playbook, Ellison doesn't seem to care about optics. An October 29th round of roughly 1,000 layoffs hit women, specifically, in high-profile roles hard. Among the 14 reported TV executives who received a pink slip spanning CBS, BET, and MTV, 11 were women. Over at CBS News, some cuts, like Tracy Wolf, a senior producer of climate and environmental coverage, were viewed as Trump-friendly moves, meaning they did this in order to garner favor from the Trump administration. Only a fucking idiot, completely ignoring context and nuance like Jesterbell was, would not look at this and go, this looks very sus to me. One staffer says that the axe conspicuously fell on those reporting featured an anti-Israel bent, including foreign correspondent Deborah Patta, who had been covering the war in Gaza for the past 3 years. A source close to Paramount says the October layoffs were not motivated by MAGA politics or gender. They just happen to align with everything that MAGA wants. They just happen to align with everything that Trump wants. It's just a coincidence that now that Trump is in office, everything we're doing, all the promises that we made, we're following through on. Just like Project 2025, we just happen to be about halfway through everything Project 2025 wanted, even though Trump claims that he didn't know anything about it. It's just a coincidence. Let's continue. There's a reason for the cultural shift. After all, Larry Ellison's loyalty to the president has already paid off. The Trump administration greenlit the Paramount Skydance merger despite antitrust concerns, and allowed the Oracle co-founder to be part of a consortium to acquire TikTok that also includes conservative-leaning Lachlan Murdoch. Now, Ellison advisors are privately crowning that they're the only viable choice to buy Warner Brothers Discovery, given that rivals would face obstacles from U.S. regulators. We already know this. Ted Sarandos and Bruce Campbell from WB both went in front of Congress a couple of weeks ago, and we have not seen the Ellisons done that yet. And there's an update to that story as well. Whereas the Ellisons could get the deal done. Absolutely. Trump already has given Weiss a vote of confidence, Barry Weiss, saying that CBS News has great potential, even though we see that they're down 32% in their morning news and 23% in their evening news, and they're at the very bottom of all news outlets by double digits. They're millions and millions and millions lower than ABC and NBC. But I guess it's great potential. For now, for his part, Trump told a press gaggle aboard Air Force One in mid-October that Larry and David Ellison are friends of mine. They're big supporters of mine. Then with the line that could have been lifted from The Godfather, the president said, and they'll do the right thing. But we're all stupid for thinking that the Ellisons are connected to Trump in any way possible. Let's look at the most recent update on the corruption in this deal that's going on between Paramount, Skydance, and Warner Brothers Discovery. Would you look at this? After Netflix drops Warner Brothers bid, GOP senator cancels planned antitrust hearing. So we will not see, at least as of right now, the Ellisons go in front of Congress and testify the same way that Ted Sarandos and Bruce Campbell did from Netflix and Warner Brothers. But it just so happens that it's just circumstantial. It's just coincidence. It's just happenstance. Like it doesn't. None of this means anything. According to Jesterbell, there is no connection at all to anything when it comes to the Ellisons and MAGA. It's just this one quote about male skewing action films and comedies. That's the one thing, and to her, that's not enough. Even though I gave you dozens of instances where there's an issue with the Ellisons being connected to Trump and how it affects their businesses and why we're concerned. And I didn't even cover everything. There's even more there. I could talk about the fact that they're getting money from overseas influencers, overseas royalty, overseas business people who are trying to come in and take control of our news outlets through like CNN and stuff. Also, the fact that they spent more money than they should have on Warner Brothers Discovery, basically overspent on Warner Brothers Discovery, and because we're not going to see them in front of oversight, at least right now, we're not going to find out why they spent so much more for Warner Brothers, a company that actually lost money in the last quarter, And we got Paramount, who is in massive debt. Warner Brothers has still got debt money. They're taking all that debt on. There's all of these questions about whether or not they can actually legitimately afford to take on this company. But none of that matters because the Trump administration is just hand-waving it all and saying it's absolutely okay. So I guess there's nothing to see here, everyone, because Jesterbell has chimed in and all of these right-wing influencers have chimed in and tried to gaslight us into believing that none of this means anything and we're all making it up. I gave you so many examples. I could give even more, but I'm not going to keep you here for much longer. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you'd like to see more content like this, leave a comment down below, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and we're going to we got another Jesterbell video this weekend, so get ready. We're going to be watching more of her content. Anyway, have a great weekend. I'll see everybody later.